Welcome back, baseball fans, as we continue this Legends in the Making playthrough where we are going from 1921 to 2025. We're about halfway through, or well, no, we got less than 60 years to go now. We've gone over 40. The last few seasons have been disappointing for us as we have fielded good teams, 96 wins, 94 wins, 87 wins, but we can't win the pennant. We keep getting beat out by even more dominant teams. We are ready for opening day 1968. We are looking positive on this one. We're going to try to make some changes that will put us over the top. We had a good draft last year. We've got a couple now with Ron Say and Steve Garvey coming along, Charlie Huff coming along. So we should be able to field a team in the future. But we are going to start opening day here in just a moment. After we check out the Hall of Fame, I have to go this way because I accidentally deleted it in my mailbox. We had two Hall of Famers get inducted this time, both on their 10th year, and I'm glad to see both of them make it. Joe Gordon and Dom DiMaggio both made it in their 10th year. We had Phil Rizzuto almost get in, not quite. Monte Irvin still has some ways to go. I think he should get in. Olivo should get in as well. I'm surprised he didn't make it. Ray Dandridge for us, though, 3,000 hitter. He's not going to get in most likely, but we are ready to go in this season. We are going to be sending out Maury Wills, Lou Brock, Roberto Clemente, Tony Perez. This is going to be his breakout year. Clete Boyer, Veda Pinson, Ken Boswell, who is somebody new that we are bringing along here. We drafted him back in 1964, and he is now in the third round, and now he's getting a chance to make it. So hopefully he will do so. Jerry Grote is going to be our catcher. Came in last season, didn't do all that great, but we don't have a lot to go with. So Ed Bailey is starting to slip up. He might find his way back up in the lineup. Kim Boyer will be in the lineup, but his defense has become a liability. So he is just going to be there for his bat some. We have Lou Piniella up on the roster this time as well. Jesus Alou and Rocky Colavito still there to add some pinch hitting pop potentially. Our rotation is going to be Bob Gibson. 1968 is the year of Gibson, so I hope he recreates that. We are hoping for this 1.12 ERA domination going on. 0.85 whip, 10.5 WAR. And then they can change the pitcher's mound after this. We've got Phil Necro in the rotation to start. Jim Bunning, who has had a few good seasons in a row here. Tommy John, who's had a few good ones in a row as well. And we've got Jim Palmer. If he can get the control under, will make it back up. But he missed 1968 in real life. So it might be in 1969 that we see him. And then we've got a Geyer, Catfish Hunter, McLaughlin, ballplayer Gonzalez, probably in his last season for us, and Jim Brewer at closer, who we did make a trade for. We traded Richie Schleinblum away for him because we don't need anybody in the outfield. I'm excited for the minor leaguers, though, that we have up with Jim Bibby and Charlie Huff coming along. And like I said, we've got Gene Tennis at catcher, who will hopefully get up there sooner than later. Steve Garvey and Ron Say all in the pipeline to come along, which is good because we have the worst rated minor league system in the majors. But I'm excited for this to wrap up the 1960s in this episode, and hopefully with another pennant and maybe a World Series title as well. Well, despite having some decent rankings in some of these categories, outside of the ERA is not doing too real great. Batting average is okay, but we are a middling team, just as those stats do. We are one game under 500 at the All-Star break. We're right in the middle of the pack. You can see here, I don't think we're mounting a run to catch the Braves, who are being led by Mickey Mantle yet again, powering his way, and that's about it. Don Drysdale is setting a light. Joe Nuxhall is there. But they are leading the lead in runs scored, and they are second in runs against. So whatever they're doing it right. We're not. We're struggling. But let's check up. Cleveland is leading the way in the AL. When we look at the batting leaders, we've got Felipe Alou hitting 303. So this is the era where the batting average, especially in the AL, takes a big dip. I want to say 68, 72, somewhere in there, right before the DH started. Yastrzemski was the only player in the AL to hit above 290 one season, which is shockingly bad. But There he is hitting 292 in this one. Let's check. Where is that one? Maybe it was 73, the year of the DH. No, that can't be right. I might be getting it wrong. Maybe it was somebody else. Thought it was him. Oh well. Fact check me on that one. Reggie Jackson has 24 home runs. Ken Harrelson with 61 RBI. Bert Campaneris again leading the way with 21 stolen bases. Yastrzemski at 950 OPS. Johnny Briggs with a 5.6 WAR, and he is currently on a 15-game hitting streak. Sonny Siebert, here you can see pitching in the AL again, is insanely dominant. 1.33 ERA. Pat Jarvis with 13 wins. Luis Tiant with 137 strikeouts. And Frank Lindsay with 17 saves. Jim Merritt has a 3.9 WAR. In the NL, Rusty Staub, 335. We see such, again, a big difference in batting. Pete Rose also tied with 335. Our man, Vada Pinson, is hitting 332. Too bad nobody else is doing anything. Willie McCovey has 24 home runs for Pittsburgh, and he's leading with 62 RBI. He's hitting 300 as well. We have the top 3 stolen base getters, but nobody's knocking them in, apparently. 27. Are they getting caught? Not terribly so. Just, Only 33 runs for Maury Wills. Mickey Mantle has a 964 OPS, but look at third here, 877. Batter WAR is Mark Bellinger, shortstop for the Mets with a 4.6 WAR. Tom Haller has 23-game hitting streak. Sandy Koufax is at 208. Drysdale has 11 wins. Gibson has 10. He's at 287, not quite his dominant self that we were hoping for. Bob Gibson is also leading the way with 153 strikeouts, but he also has, just 4 more innings than Koufax. Steve Hamilton has 19 saves, and pitcher WAR is Gibson, though, 5 compared to 3.9. When we look at the all-star teams for this one, we've got in the AL starting as Bob Moore. Chris Short is back up there again. He is continuing this really strong stretch of 6 years now. Amazing. With a Cy Young in there. Let's see. Joe Horner for Oakland is closer. Bill Freehan at catcher. Billy Williams at first. Joe Morgan at second. Dick Allen at third. Tom Tresh at shortstop. Yastrzemski's in left. Flood is in center. Tony Oliva is back at it, beating out Reggie Jackson. In the NL, Bob Gibson is there for us, but Koufax gets the start. Ballplayer Gonzalez gets the start in relief. He's got a 1.12 ERA. Continuing to add to his resume, which as a reliever without a ton of save, he's slowly acquired quite a few, leading the league twice. Also 120 wins. What's his WAR? His WAR is 25, so we'll see. He'll get some points, some votes at least. We've got Tom Haller for catcher, beating out Pagliarone. No Joe Torre this time. Mickey Mantle at first base, beating out McCovey. Pete Rose at second. Brooks Robinson at third. Gil McDougald at short from Atlanta, along with his teammate Willie Horton in left. Hank Aaron is in center field, only 8 home runs to his name. Clemente for us, hitting 300, gets in at center field where we have to have him playing, but Mays beats him out. Al Kaline gets to start in right field, continuing his dominance as he goes at the age of 33. He still has several years left for him, probably. So that's where we're at right now. It's a struggle when your leadoff man's only got 33 runs. Brock's not bringing him in. Clemente nobody's hitting to bring people in. So we might have to rearrange this order to see if we can do something different with it. But hopefully when we get back, we're either showing that we got something or we're going to be way down here so we can actually get a decent draft pick. Well, we did have a better second half of the season, going from 1 game below 500 to 8 games above it. But it was nowhere near enough because Atlanta just ran away with the pennant. Cleveland as well with 102 wins over in the AL, ending with a 10-game winning streak. They met in the World Series. It was Atlanta's first shot to win it, not their first chance, but a chance to win their first championship World Series in this simulation. They failed in 6 games. Cleveland won their first one, their third one first one since 1960. They have made quite a few trips to the World Series. They haven't been able to do it quite a well. This was their 11th one, picking up their third. The Braves, yet to win in our simulation, just one overall, 5 trips to the World Series. The Mick is going to have to miss out, and will they get back again? That I don't know. They were first in runs scored, second in runs against, while Cleveland was flipped. But you look at this, 605 runs scored, 728 runs scored, 405 runs against, 555. The difference is huge between the two leagues. Now, when we look at the leaders, we can find that as well. Felipe Alou beating out Matty Alou, 300 to 297 for batting title, the lowest I think we've seen. Frank Howard, though, did have the power numbers at 42 and 118 RBI, but hitting 249. Bert Campaneris had 41 stolen bases, with Frank Howard leading with an 8.52 OPS. Wow, that is low. Tom Tresh had an 8.2 WAR, so defense is the name of the game here. Matty Alou with 18-game hitting streak. Look at this. Sonny Siebert with a 1.5 ERA, beating out Bob Moose and Jim Perry, who were also below 2. Probably would have done nothing like that in the NL. Pat Jarvis had 25 wins. This was the year of the pitcher for them. Luis Tiant had 262 strikeouts. Frank Lindsay, 25 saves along with Don Mossy. And Fergie Jenkins had a 6.6 pitcher WAR. 258 strikeouts, 2.24 ERA, and 16-9 record. In the NL, Pete Rose ran away with the batting title with 356 average. Beta Pinson for us got 315. McCovey had 38 home runs. Mays and Mantle finishing second and third. McCovey also had 111 RBI. Quite the distance, and the only 100 RBI man in the NL, joining Howard and Harrelson in the AL. Stolen bases, Brock and Wills ran away with it literally, 48 and 44 stolen bases. Mantle with a 920 OPS, and Mays had an 8.1 batter WAR. Clemente finishing third there. Haller had the high game hitting streak with 23. Koufax with a 2.09 ERA. Gibson was 2.35, not his 1.2. Gibson had 21 wins to lead the way and 292 strikeouts. He was just shy of getting the Triple Crown for pitching. Steve Hamilton had 25 saves, but Gibson a 10-1 pitcher WAR. This might be a Cy Young year for him. He hasn't won one yet. He got Rookie of the Year. He's been a 3-time All-Star. Will this be the one that puts him over the top? He's got 160 wins overall, 3.17 ERA, 2,100 strikeouts, 53 WAR. So he should be. This could be the thing that helps tip him over and get him on that Hall of Fame pathway. So we will see. You can see where we finished. Runs scored, we were 9th. Home runs 10th. But we ran the bases well. And we were fine defensively outside of errors. But zone efficiency, defensive efficiency, we struck people out. So they weren't able to get on base. We hit the ball. We just could not. We didn't walk. And we didn't have any power numbers. We couldn't bring anybody in. So hopefully we can figure out how to fix that. But in this offseason. So we'll see where it takes us. Well, before we get much further into the offseason, we have to submit a protection list for yet another expansion draft. So here's who we're protecting. Clemente, Perez, Brock, Boyer, Pinella, Pinson, Tito Fuentes. We are going to let Maury Wills be out there because Fuentes has more of a career ahead of him than Wills. Wills being 36 and really falling off in that last season. I don't know that. Yeah, I just don't think I think we need to move on from him. We have enough speed with Brock and Pinson. We need to start making some changes. So Fuentes is going to be the guy. As far as pitchers go, Bunning is going to be who we protect, of course. Bob Gibson, Jim Brewer, Tommy John, Phil Niekro, Jim Palmer, Hank Geyer, and Jim McLaughlin. We could potentially take McLaughlin out, actually. You know, let's do that. Let's unprotect him. Let's protect Wills. Kim Boyer, we're going to leave out there, though. He can't play. Oh, no, not put him in there. He can't play defense. He can play first, I guess. But we're going to keep Wills, run those bases, and see how it goes. Now, also, ball player Gonzalez retired. And with that, we retired his number 30. So, good job, ball player Gonzalez. And we got him. We've had him for a long time, and he had a long career. One thing, if you're setting up a game like this, the reason why that those guys keep going. Now, I did turn off to where they don't retire. I didn't want them to retire when they do. I wanted them to play out longer if they had like the ability. But I have player development disabled. So after they have the recalculation going on, I believe this is how it works. We're recalculating the ratings every time. But because if they end on a good season, a decent season, and those last 3 years are pretty good, they stay pretty good. If we had player development on in the players and teams option, then I think they would degrade after that and they would retire sooner. So that is something to keep in mind. I'm not going to change it at this point because I don't want to mess anything up with the way this is going. I want to have some consistency there. It's just for fun to see what would happen anyways. But just a note in case you want to set your own up for something to look out for. So let's go to the expansion draft. We have the Padres, the Royals, the Pilots, and the Expos all picking, which is going to be interesting. So let's see who's out there as far as batters. Ron Hunt and Rich Reese, Bob Allison, Norm Cash, Walt Bond, Frank Torres out there, Jesus Alou. For us, we have to leave him out there, but we don't need him. Pitchers, got Bob Locker, Jimmy Rate, Sonny Siebert is out there. Wow. Potential Cy Young winner this year is going to be picked. Bob Friend, our old friend. Al Downing is out there. The Dodgers need pitching. Interesting who they're keeping, I wonder. There are some decent pitchers. Camilo Pascual, of course, the AL ones, you never know what you're going to get. All right, so let's see who the first ones that go are. San Diego takes Rich Reese. Kansas City takes Ron Hunt. Seattle gets Dick Green. And Jerry Grope from us goes to the Expos. They took our catcher. That's okay. We'll be okay. Let's go through the draft, and then we'll see who we lost, if any big names stand out to us. Sonny Siebert did go to San Diego. Tim McCarver, not ours. Bill Mazeroski, how's he been doing? Traded him away several years ago. He's there. Don't see anybody there. Gone. Rocky Colavito left. Good for him. He needs a chance to play. He's not playing anymore for us. Anybody else from Camilo Pascual took a while to go. And that's it. So we didn't lose too many. We did lose our catcher, but hopefully we'll have somebody that we can get to replace him. Well, it's time for the first year player draft as well as the awards. So we'll start with the awards with the Gold Gloves in the AL. Lots of White Sox and Cleveland Senators dominating everything. George Brunet, Bill Freehan, Don Clendenon, Dick Green, Bob Johnson, Hal Lanier, Johnny Briggs, Tommy Agee, and Matty Alou. A lot of new names showing up. In the NL, Don Kaiser, Tom Haller, Tony Horton, Ken Boswell. For us, congratulations, Ken. Brooks Robinson getting another one, finally starting to get what he should be. Larry Brown, Richie Ashburn at 41, still getting it done for Cincinnati. Defensively, at least. Willie Mays in center and Ollie Brown in right. AL reliever of the year in the AL unanimously to Joe Horner with his 20 saves, 1.21 ERA, and 98 strikeouts. In the NL, it's Bobby Shantz beating out our guy, Bob Player Gonzalez. If he were a closer, I think he would have had it. But Shantz gets it. Well, he didn't really get many saves either. Silver Sluggers in the AL go to Dave Giesti, Bill Freehan, Billy Williams, Ron Hunt, Dick Allen, Tom Tresh, Frank Howard, Rick Monday, and Reggie Jackson. Not much for average, but man, he slugged the ball. In the NL, Gary Peters hit 309 as a pitcher. Jim Pagliarone for catcher. Mickey Mantle at first base this time. Don Buford, Brooks Robinson, another one. Jim Fregosi, Lou Brock for us, hitting 306 with 48 stolen bases and 8 home runs. Willie Mays in center and Pete Rose out in right field. The Rookie of the Year goes to Reggie Jackson over Bob Moose, 22 first place votes. We already saw what he did. He continues it in the NL. Bobby Bonds beats out our guy Ken Boswell. He hit 307. He had a WAR of 3.6. Boswell had one of 4.2. Played a middle infield. Didn't get enough power, I guess. Didn't score enough runs. That's understandable. Cy Young goes to Sonny Siebert, who is now with San Diego. He is going to be in the National League, so it'll be interesting to see if he can keep those numbers up. Beating out Pat Jarvis of Cleveland, so 2 Cleveland teammates. No wonder they made it to the World Series and won it. Bob Gibson did dethrone Sandy Koufax with 20 first-place votes. Phil Niekro getting a few points as well. MVP goes to Reggie Jackson, the Rookie of the Year as well. Actually, yeah, so Rookie of the Year and MVP. Tom Tresh was second. Johnny Briggs third. And we also had Yastrzemski and Jarvis getting some votes. And Mickey Mantle getting an MVP, his 5th one in a crowded NL too, with Mays and Clemente and Hank Aaron in there and everything. That's a tough one to win. Al Kaline's around in there, not getting any votes because of that. Gibson got himself a vote, but Mantle takes the win. So we are going to get into the player draft then. The draft pool, we're drafting back in 16th. Not a lot out there. Burt Blyleven's who I have my eye on. I'd love to get him. J.R. Richards up there as well. Not a lot of other names I personally recognize other than Steve Stone from being a commentator for the Cubs. Don't really see anybody that... Oh, Dick Pohl. I remember that one because I looked him up whenever we had Johnny Dick shot earlier. And I found out this guy was around too. I think he played for the Red Sox. Yeah, he was for Boston before going off to Seattle. Fun guy. Okay, and then as far as batters go, few. Dwight Evans is out there. King Griffey Sr. Gary Matthews is who I'm hoping falls to us. Not a lot else out there. This is going to be a thin draft. No real big Hall of Famers coming out of this one. So hopefully we can get somebody who helps us out. We'll find out. So let's go to the draft. Let's see who goes off first. Remember, we are pick 16. So Washington, the Senators are going to take J.R. Richard. The Twins are going to take Burt Blyleven, which is fitting because he was a Twin. And he was very, very good. Very good. Took a while to get the credit he deserved, but man, he's going to light this simulation up, I bet. The Cubs are going to take Mike Easler. Dwight Evans goes to the A's. Oakland A's. The Mets take Cecil Cooper. Houston gets Jeff Burrows. Kent Tukulvi goes to the Yankees. The Giants are taking Al the Mad Hungarian Hrabosky. The Angels get Tom Bradley. White Sox are taking Buddy Bell. King Griffey Sr. goes to the Reds. Another fitting one, part of the Big Red Machine. The Phillies take Lee Lacy. Oh, Gary Matthews went to the Orioles at 13. 14, Al A.C. Cowens. Boston Red Sox, Al Bunbury, which means we are left with no one we are excited about. Juan Beniquez had a decent career at short. Hit the ball okay. What about his defense, though? Yeah, okay. Is there a pitcher out there we can use? Not really. Don Gullett sounds somewhat familiar. Cincinnati had a good run in the early 70s. Yeah, we are thin in this draft. We might just take the best available. Try to trade him later. Let's take Mick the Quick because I like his nickname. Finish out the first round. The Dodgers take Lamar Johnson. Tigers, Gorman Thomas. Doug Bird goes to the White Sox. Juan Beniquez goes to the Braves. Cleveland takes Don Gullett. The Expos get Johnny the Hammer Milner. Rich Hinton to the Royals. The Pilots are going to take Rowley Eastwick. And the Padres take Elliot Maddox. So I'll wrap this one up, and we will get to the beginning of the 1969 season to close out the 1960s decade, where the pitching has definitely left their mark. Well, we are ready for the 1969 season opening day. We have made a couple changes. First off, Hall of Fame voting. Somehow Ted Williams did not get a unanimous vote, even though he led the league in runs twice, hits once with 221. He hit 400. He led the league in average, 5 times, walks all these times, RBIs a couple times, home runs, 617 home runs, 2,300 RBI, almost 4,000 hits, 165 WAR, which is what's insane is that's only 12 better than his actual career WAR whenever he missed seasons in real life, and he actually played longer here as well, a chance to add more. So he did not ever have that peak that he did in the 1940s in reality, but still an amazing career. He does outdo his longevity numbers, though. The other one who made the Hall of Fame was none other than our guy, Phil Rizzuto, who he was a second-round draft pick for us, and he had a solid career, solid shortstop for us. Never anything spectacular. Got a few All-Stars, though. Won one Silver Slugger in 1948, and he had 142 runs scored in one season, which is a fantastic output. Now, we did make a trade. I realized I did not have any defense in center field. Clemente can't play it. Veda Pinson can't play it. Piniella was going to be my starting center fielder. Doesn't have the defense. So we were able to trade away our prospect, Joe LaHood, for Kurt Flood, who he was on the trading block, so I went for it. He played for Kansas City, then for Oakland. And so they shipped him out. Now, I know career-wise he is near the end of his career. In reality, 1969, playing for the Cardinals, so we brought him to us finally. But he's got defense, and the rest of our lineup, I think, is okay. We've got Perez, which will hopefully provide the power this time. Boyer, we got lots of speed. Ed Bailey's going to be catching for us again. Clemente's still there to drive in runs, hopefully. Boswell, we don't have much power, so that's going to be our weak spot. But we do have Bob Gibson, Phil Niekro, Jim Palmer, and Catfish Hunter in the rotation. We've moved Jim Bibby up into the bullpen. Jim Brewer's back there. We have Jim Bunning that can move easily right back into the rotation potentially. So I like where we're at with this team. I think we got a shot. Now, one thing to also notice is now we have divisions. We are, unfortunately, in the same division as the Pirates and the Phillies, who have been the two top teams. So that's not fun, but we will see. Maybe now we at least get to expand the playoffs a little bit, and that'll throw an interesting little wrinkle into things. And we will get to see how this shapes up, how this changes things around as we get going into the 1969 season. Well, the first half of the 1969 season has been a roller coaster for us. We started off 9-8. First place. Then Pittsburgh went on 15-game winning streak. We were back down to where all we were ahead of were the Expos and the Mets. We were 9 games back, but then we just won 7 in a row right before the All-Star break, losing this last one to Pittsburgh. So now we are tied at the All-Star break with the Pirates. In the West, we have the Braves sitting there 2.5 up against the Reds. Are these divisions correct? I don't know what they were in the 60s and 70s. So that just seems crazy to me that the Reds and the Braves are in the West while the Cardinals are in the East. I guess because pretty much every team was in the East for the most part up until more recent times. In the AL, we have the Orioles up at 3.5 over the Tigers. And the White Sox are just lapping the field. The rest of the West is just really, really bad. But we do have several newer teams in there. But the White Sox are 17.5. Just give them the pennant right now. In the AL, our league leaders, we have Rico Carty hitting .348. Boog Powell for Baltimore hitting 28 home runs and 83 RBIs. So they have the hitting going, which is helping them. Stolen bases go to Cesar Tovar, 31 stolen bases. Pete Ward has a 1.009 OPS. Greg Nettles is at 5.4 WAR. Willie Davis has 21-game hitting streak as the lead. Ray Culp is sitting there with a 2.07 ERA, so this is a little higher this season. Dick Selma with 13 wins. Fergie Jenkins has 156 strikeouts, barely up above Don Wilson. Nolan Ryan is starting to show up, though. Lots of walks, as we would expect from the Ryan Express. Wilbur Wood has 18 saves. Fergie Jenkins with a 5.5 pitcher WAR. In the NL, Roberto Clemente is hitting .356, well ahead of Frank Robinson, who's also having a phenomenal season. Rusty Staub has 27 home runs ahead of Killebrew and McCovey. Joe Adcock has 73 RBIs, one ahead of McCovey. Bobby Bonds has 26 stolen bases to lead Lou Brock by 5. McCovey also has the OPS at 1006. Johnny Callison has a 5.7 WAR, followed by Bonds and Robinson. Tony Perez looks like he had a 25-game hitting streak, which is the best in the majors. Dennis Bennett with a 2.33 ERA. Don't know who this guy is, but he's been all around from L.A. to Philadelphia with a 5.04 ERA last season, 8-14 to now a 2.33 for San Diego. That's interesting. Koufax is third with a 2.42. He was on a tear at the beginning of the season. Jim Palmer for us with 16 wins. He also has a 3.32 ERA, 16-7. So he is pitching more, 2 more games than what Koufax has. Koufax has 188 strikeouts to Gibson's 182. Gibson is 8-12 with a 2.70 ERA because our defense has been letting us down, specifically short and second. Jim Brewer is leading the league with 16 saves, and Koufax has a 6.1 WAR. You can see how the team's doing. We are third in runs scored. We have picked that up, and with that, the wins have come. We've been leading the league in batting average. We're doing okay everywhere else. Home runs, we have no power outside of Perez. Lou Brock somehow has 13 and Clemente 10, but that's it. But Kurt Flood is batting .312. I'm considering swapping him with Boswell, but Boswell's on base is fairly decent as well, and he's got more slugging, so I might just leave that as it is. We'll see. We have some options. Stolen bases, though, we are leading the way. Not doing great in base running. Runs against are kind of iffy because our starters have been up and down, but the bullpen's been fantastic, which has led me to 2 saves to our changes to the rotation. Jim Bunning came in for Phil Necro earlier, and then Tommy John just entered in for Catfish Hunter, who they're both doing much better in the bullpen than they were outside. But look at this. Jim Bibby as a rookie, 5-1 out of the pen, 23 walks and 8 strikeouts. He can't control anything, but he's getting the job done. Second in strikeouts, defensive efficiency, but the errors are killing us. And I checked, it is Maury Wills and Ken Boswell that are hurting us, even though, I mean, they've got range and everything and they're good at their position. The errors are costing them. When we look at the All-Star Game rosters for the AL, our starters are Fergie Jenkins. Harvey Haddix is back in there at 43 years old. Wilbur Wood is starting. Bill Freehan. First base goes to Boog Powell. Dick Green at second. Dick Allen at short. And Greg Nettles at third. Billy Williams in left. Willie Davis in center, hitting .318. And then we have Reggie Jackson with 20 home runs, 291 average. He's hitting the ball better this season. Slugging is way higher as well. In the NL, we've got Bob Gibson leading the way, even though he's 8-12, beating out Koufax because he won the Cy Young last season. Tom Seaver's up there, and so is Don Drysdale. Drysdale's struggling, though, but Seaver, he's the one to keep an eye on. Carlton has been having a phenomenal season so far as well. He's been showing up with some big ones, but I don't see him yet. Relievers, Bobby Shantz. Joe Torre's back in there for Philadelphia, hitting .296. Harmon Killebrew for the Dodgers, beating out Perez and McCovey. Ken Boswell at second. Brooks Robinson at third yet again. Richie Hebner. Hank Aaron's back on the list, but Frank Robinson beat him out. Jim Wynn at center field. And then John Callison beat out Clemente and Bobby Bonds. That is a crowded right field. I mean, Callison's nothing to just turn away from either. .332 average, .552 slugging, 65 RBIs, 18 home runs. He's got lots of doubles going. He's got runs. He's stolen base. He's not getting caught. So he did 5.7 WAR. So that is understandable why he would win that. It is going to be a tight race coming down to the wire. Oh, look, number 600 for Mantle. Mantle's got his 600th home run. Clemente has his 2,500th hit. So we will see. This is going to be a tight one. It's going to be interesting to see how this season shapes up and if we'll find ourselves in the playoffs or not. Well, the season ended off on a good note for us, getting 94 wins to 68 losses. We ended up facing the Reds in the first round of the playoffs. They had 96 wins, and then the Orioles and the White Sox faced off in the American League. Unfortunately for us in the League Championship Series, we went down 3-1 to the Reds, who were making their first trip to the World Series since 1942 when they last won it as well. And they went up against the Orioles. It took 7 games, but the Orioles were able to win for the first time since 1965. They've been around quite a bit lately, and so they are picking up their 5th championship, tying them with the Reds now, and having a fantastic run with this group that they have. We will see how the standings, like the league leaders, shaped out. Rico Carty ended up with the batting title at 357 in the AL. Frank Howard with 49 home runs is bashing the ball. 346 for his career. Where did he end up at? 382. So what will he do? Will he be able to pass his actual numbers? He's got to be making a run. Yeah, he's making a run for the Hall as well. Boog Powell had a 145 RBI. Cesar Tovar held off the stolen bases with 46. Rico Carty with an even 1,000 OPS. Greg Nettles with an 8.4 WAR. Willie Davis had that 21-game hitting streak hold up. Chuck Taylor with a 2.44 ERA. Jim Perry got 20 wins. Don Wilson with 251 strikeouts. Phil Regan and Wilbur Wood tying with 28 saves. And Fergie Jenkins making his mark here with a 7.6 WAR. The Tigers are going to be a team to fear with Fergie leading the way there. In the NL, we have Roberto Clemente got the batting title. It was him and Pete Rose tied at 335 coming down in September, but Clemente held him off to get the title. Killebrew and Rusty Staub tied for home runs. Hank Aaron with 35 right behind him puts him to 516 for his career. He still has several more years, so I think he's got a good shot at getting that 755. Will he catch Josh Gibson is the question. Joe Adcock, 112 RBIs, followed by 111 and 110 from Melton and Aaron. Bobby Bonds with 51 stolen bases, becoming a 30-30 player with his 30 home runs. Lou Brock had 40. He also had 17 home runs for him. We moved him to second in the batting order. Hank Aaron had a 951 OPS. Johnny Callison for Cincinnati. They had him and Mays just bashing the ball, which is why they led the league in runs, and they were tied with us in runs allowed for first. Callison had an 8.8 WAR. Tony Perez with that 25-game hitting streak, also adding the only power we really had with 26 home runs. ERA title went to Dennis Bennett at 2.06. Tommy John and Bob Gibson were right behind. Jim Palmer had 23 wins to lead by quite a bit, but Bob Gibson, 295 strikeouts, leading the way. Koufax slowed down this season, but Gibson beat McDowell as well, so well done. Jim Brewer led the way with 28 saves, and Gibson with an 8.6 batter WAR. So we are going to go through to check out the awards and the first-year player draft. All right, let's start with the Gold Gloves for the AL. Johnny Antonelli for the Red Sox, Bill Freehan for the White Sox, Danny Carter, Tom Mitchell, Ed Spezio, Hal Lanier. We have all different teams so far. Felipe Alou, Jim Gosker for the White Sox, picking up a second one there, and Pat Kelly for the Royals, picking up a second one for the Royals. In the NL, George Brunei from the Mets, Jerry Grote from the Expos, who was ours. We traded him away. He still doesn't have the bat. That's why we had to give him up. Rich Reese for the Padres, Mazeroski for the Cubs, Robinson for the Dodgers. Again, all new teams here. Bud Harrelson, Angel Bravo for the Expos, getting the second one there. Ivan Murrell for the Padres, and Johnny Callison having a phenomenal year. I wonder if he's going to get the MVP. Reliever of the year in the AL goes to Wilbur Wood, 22 first-place votes compared to Don Mossie's 2. That is a deserved one with 28 saves, 2.64 ERA, 14 losses, though. In the NL, Jim Brewer for us, 19 first-place votes, 10-8 with 28 saves, 2.42 ERA, beating out Ron Perinoski, who was 9-4 with 17 saves and a 2.47 ERA. Silver Sluggers in the AL go to Jim Maloney, who had 7 home runs for the White Sox as a pitcher. Bill Freehan, 26 home runs as a catcher. That's quite the number as well for the White Sox. Man, when he was in the lineup, they had some power. Boog Powell for the Orioles hitting 44 home runs. Ron Hunt with 3 home runs. Not much power going on at second base. Greg Nettles at third. Dick Allen at short getting another one. Rico Carty in left field. Center field went to Cleon Jones, and Reggie Jackson picking up one for right field. In the crowded NL, we have Tom Hall at pitcher. Joe Torre getting another one. Harmon Killebrew, although the average slipped, 36 home runs. We saw some power increases from him. Dom Buford for the Dodgers as well. Bill Melton, Richie Hebner, Hank Aaron, 3 of the Dodgers then. Jim Wynn, and Johnny Callison. Best rookie of the year goes to Pat Kelly, 23 first-place votes in the AL for the Royals, beating out Chuck Taylor, who garnered 1 first-place vote. So Kelly in center field was 282 average, 61 RBI, and 8 home runs. Also scored 108 runs. So well done, son. In the NL, Ed Stroud, 22 first-place votes. Tom Hall and George Mitterwald both got 1, but Ed Stroud, another center fielder, leading the way. Not quite the prolific numbers that we had from Kelly. Cy Young awards go to Dick Selma unanimously in the AL, beating out Fergie Jenkins there. 212 strikeouts, 2.48 ERA, and 18 wins. That is such a huge gap then because of that. I would have thought Fergie could have gotten a vote or two. In the NL, Bob Gibson was unanimous. Well done, Bob. That is his, second one in a row. So this is his peak. We're at peak Gibson era at the moment, and I'm afraid we're going to see that drop. Koufax, way far down. Maybe you know what? He's washed up. They should trade him. In the AL, Rico Carty takes on the MVP. Boog Powell got 1 first-place vote, but Carty that's fantastic. 357, 32, and 119. Can't complain with that one. In the NL, it was Johnny Callison just barely beating out Hank Aaron. If that vote switches, that may be flipped. And Bob Gibson picked up 1. Maybe if that went to Hank Aaron, that could have changed things as well. Interesting, close race. Aaron had an understated year. It was because he was for the Dodgers, who couldn't make it to the playoffs. Tony Perez getting some points, though, as well as Clemente. That's always good to see our other players getting in there. Now, when we go to the first-year player draft, let's take a look at the draft pool. We are drafting in 24th, and this pool is thin. Hitters, we got Brian Downing, Madlock, Mike Eisler, Dave Parker is probably, and Kingman. These are 2 of your big bats in this one. Not much else in this one. Ed Ott, I wonder if that's Mel Ott. And there was another one. There was a Greenberg in here somewhere that I wonder if it was Hank Greenberg's son or anything. But not much as far as hitters go, even if we sort a little bit. There's no names really that show up, so this is just a thin one. Finding your role players that are going to fill a need, maybe picking up some defense. When we go to pitchers, Goose Gossage is the main one, and there's really nobody else left. So this might be another one where we see who's out there, and either we will keep them in the effort of maybe trading them down the road, or we will just not sign him and maybe get a compensation pick. So let's check out Montreal. First pick of the draft is going to be Bill Madlock, who was a Giant and Pirate and Cub and all that in his career. Had 2,000 hits, so he's going to be a very serviceable, good shortstop for them. The Kansas City Royals are going to take Goose Gossage. Phillies are going to take Brian the Incredible Hulk Downing. Cubs take Darryl Porter. Mike Hitman Eisler again goes to the Padres. Who did he go to last season? The Cubs, though. They couldn't sign him in third. He goes 5th this year. Minnesota's going to take Rick Big Daddy Rochelle. Doug DeCinces goes to the Guardians. Milwaukee takes John Denny. Terry Forster to the Angels. The A's, Butch Metzger. Joaquin Andujar to the Senators. Dave Kingman to the Mets. I'm going to guess that means Dave Parker is going to be going very soon as well. I don't like that they just tease us. Houston's going to take Otto Velez. Pirates are going to take Doug Rao. John DeAquisto to the Red Sox. Chris Spear to the Cubs. See, they are teasing us again. San Francisco's going to take Mike Ivey. Dave Pagan to the Yankees. Doc Medich to the Braves. Joel Youngblood to the Dodgers. Dan Spillner to the Tigers. Cleveland's going to take Blake Shake and Bake McBride. The Orioles get Chris Chambliss. And for some reason, Dave Parker is still out here. That's a bat for us. He's going to be ready, not soon, but that will be when Garvey and Ron Say, that fell into our lap there. We can't not take the Cobra. The Reds are going to take Greg Gross. And to wrap up round one, the White Sox are going to take Dan Cobra. We have two Cobras in the same draft. Drayson. So we will wrap up this episode here, ending up the 1960s. And we are going to get ready, kick off the 1970s in the next episode, where we will explore the records so far, see what has changed, see if there's any new names up there, anybody approaching any records. And we will dive into a new 1970s era where we now have divisions. And pretty soon in 1973, we should see the AL adopt the designated hitter rule. And so we will see what happens there. Will the Big Red Machine keep going in its form on here, or will we be able to stop them and get in there again to the World Series? I like our team. We've got a little bit of a farm system finally, but it's kind of fun seeing how these things are shaking out. And join me on the next episode as we kick off a new decade.